these monthly calls, I think these monthly calls are just awesome. And I can remember, back in the day, when I was going to school, a lot of times when I was going to school, like at the Freddie Spencer School, and you'd be able to listen to what, world champion or national champion, to be able to sit there and be in the same room and listen to them talk and ask them questions. And it's just like, there's times where I would go to the school, I'm like, okay, my whole school is paid for and I didn't even ride yet. And it's just because you got access to this information and you're kind of a little bit on the inside. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish with these monthly calls is, one, the point of entry on the Blayze stuff is insanely cheap for what you get. Even if you didn't partake in any of the coaching, the libraries that are there, the ability to sit here on a call with like-minded people talking about things. And, all these things are very, very relevant. And to be able, again, to talk to people that are at the pointy end of it. I mean, here we've got, I'll tote, Colin a little bit. Colin, what were your results last year?
Fantastic. Honestly, I think the live format more than anything else has been really helpful with us, and even implementing some live one-on-ones with different people. But what I've seen, work the best is when we're experimental with some of these, how we do analyses and different things, actually using the platform itself. So, I mean, we've done some sim work, put in some references for some of my guys, and that seemed to work out really well at helping them prepare for events in the future. But yeah, really this whole platform and, having the chance to do this, it's, easy for us as coaches, since we're at home. We don't need to get out to a racetrack, and we're able to get some awesome information out to everybody here. So,
well, that, and they don't have to pay you your day rate.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and then as far as your personal performance last year, what was your result last year? Your best results?
You mean like from my driving?
Yeah, you're racing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just in general, I mean, lots of cool stuff in the works for me. But yeah, in 2020, won a GT4 championship with Andretti Autosport. So I was co-driving with Jared Andretti there. And then 2021, we were with a new team, so brand new program to GT4. Did some LMP3 driving on the back end, and then in the GT4 side, we ran half a season, won half the races that we entered overall, and finished third in points despite missing the first entire half of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a big sports car guy. I've driven everything from front-wheel drive touring cars, open wheel, to GT cars and prototypes, and kind of the whole round, and jumping between different things is what I've done best. And the great thing is, so much of this stuff transfers from car to car.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't, you're not getting in a car. You're not going, oh my God, this one's completely different. I got to rewrite my lines and I got to do all this stuff.
Oh yeah. No, the first time I hopped in a prototype in the P3 car was at Sebring. I took my TCR on board from the last time I was at Sebring and just compared it next to the P3 car. I mean, there's a 20 second differential between the two cars there, and I'm turning it at the same points. My braking markers were actually almost identical just because of the speed difference, but all my references, for the most part, stayed the same between the two cars.
Yeah. And I just want to bring that up for everybody, because one, the information you're getting here on these calls is it's very relevant, right? This is happening now. I mean, and then, my world, I haven't raced in many years, but coached at a very high level. And so to be able to, work with riders that are winning championships nationally, getting podiums nationally. And so I kind of wanted to throw that out here, is that the information that you're getting here this isn't 1970s, right? This is very relevant information, and this is being proven on a daily basis. So, all right, let's jump into this one. And this one, we wanted to start the year off with this. And one thing that, if you're our Blayze Plus subscribers, that we've already basically put out the call list for the year. And if you have seen it, we've spent a lot of time developing the calls for the year. So hopefully everybody can join these calls. Of course, they're in the library when you're done with them. But we wanted to start off with this one, which is getting the most out of your Blayze coach. And so I'm going to go through this, and we've got a lot of slides on this one. So hang in there. This one's going to be pretty involved, and we're going to talk a lot about what your coach's role is, what you as a client, what your role is, and what the Blayze platform can do for you at the end. So we're just going to dive right into it. And just a quick note, if you're not on mute, please mute yourself. And then of course, if you want to ask questions, just raise your hand or get it in the chat and we can get that done. All right. So what the heck does a coach even do? And there's a lot of definitions that are on this, but for our context, what does a coach even do? And another one is, are you ready to work with a coach? Those are pretty big ones. And so, hey, if anybody just double make sure that your mute is on, because we got a little bit of feedback from somebody. Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right. Are you ready to work with a coach? And that's a question that we actually get quite a bit is, I need to get faster before I work with a coach. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about why this is a two-way conversation between your coach and you. And then we'll get into some of the Blayze platform things. So what does a coach do? A coach will provide a process through proven fundamentals for you to achieve your goals. And it sounds simple. And there's a little bit more to it than that, but we just wanted to make it very simple for you, which is, again, providing a process through proven fundamentals for you to achieve your goals. And again, there's some things in here which we'll go through, but it's the process part through proven fundamentals that we really want to stick with on that. So how does a coach do that? By listening to your goals, evaluating your current performance, and planning your next steps in the right order. And it's so easy nowadays to get wrapped up in either what I call catchphrase coaching, or to get wrapped up into, you're in a Miata, you need to do this, or, you got a new Porsche. Oh, and Porsches, you do this. And I go back and I use this line because it stuck with me so much. This year at Pittsburgh, I was at Pitt Raceway, and a guy told me, he says, well, no, I'm doing great. He was pretty slow. He goes, I got with an instructor and he showed me, all the Corvette lines. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Okay. So, again, we're going to listen to your goals, and we kind of want to work backwards from there. And the other part is evaluating your current performance. I think that one is something that is not done enough, is to make sure we've evaluated you to find out what you're doing. Because like in Norm's case, Norm will go, well, I want more entry speed, but then we might find out that he has something going on maybe with his vision, or maybe he's got something going on with his motor control. So we understand, we know your goal, but we have to evaluate you to see what's holding you back so you can get those next steps. So that's why we put in the right order there. A coach also does, right? What else does a coach do? He manages your risk versus reward based on your goals. This is, again, something super important, is we want to make sure that you're doing the right things at the right time to work towards your goals. Coach recognizes plateaus and creates a plan to get past it. So let's linger here for a second. I know everybody, the plateau thing is kind of rough, but we have to realize that plateaus is really where we spend almost all of our time. And it's recognizing when you're at a plateau and what are the steps to get past that plateau. And this is exactly what a coach is going to do for you. But realize that plateaus are normal. Plateaus are part of the game. But the idea is we don't want to be stuck in a plateau forever. So we want to be able to figure out a plan to get past it. And again, based on what your coach could be able to do, he needs to, again, see your goal, evaluate you for where you're at, and then build your plan from there. And yeah, it's tough. Coaches may not always have the answer, but they have a process to find it out. And I think that's what's super important. I just was at Jennings, Florida this weekend working with my rider. I've been working on this rider for 3 years. And we were finally able to test something that I wanted to test 2 years ago, but it's something that he wasn't ready for. And it was something that if I had given this 2 years ago, it wouldn't have made any sense. And we're just now at a place where we can have that. And we made actually a fairly significant improvement from that. So realize that we don't necessarily always have the answer today, but we have a process to get you through it. So are you ready for a coach? Yeah, regardless of whether you're new to the sport or professional, everyone needs a coach. And I know that we hear this a lot, which is, I need to get quicker. I need to be faster before you can coach me, or I just need to go to the track and do, 4 more track days, and then I'll send you a video. And it's like, no, let's get you as early as possible. The earlier that we can get you, the sooner that we can shortcut your learning process, and get that progress going that you want. So yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone at some point is going to plateau, and you're not going to be able to figure it out yourself. You're going to need somebody that is objective and that maybe can understand the sport in a different way than you're at. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this, and there's 1,000 different examples to this, but I'll give you a quick one that has a little bit of a double duty, which is, I have 3 kids. 2 of my kids back when they were teenagers were in bicycle racing, and I was bicycle racing at the time. And, I took them through some of the very, very preliminary things. But when they started to get serious, it was, I'm going to hire a coach to do it. And one, there's the family dynamic. So yeah, any husband and wife, any wife, husband, the combination, very difficult to get past. So eliminating that situation, but also getting somebody that can look at them and we'll talk about this in a minute, right? That's not necessarily their friend. They're a professional that come at it from a different way. And the accountability structure is different. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this. Is back in cycling, when I wanted to raise my game in cycling, I got to my limit. I needed a coach. I hired a coach. And you realize that a lot of time, so I think this is something to remember, is a plateau isn't necessarily the end of your development. It's just the end of your current technique. So it just means that you need a higher level of what you're doing. And it's going to take somebody that has an objective ability to read that for you. So yeah, are you ready for a coach? If you're wanting to improve and you're willing to put the work in, I think so. So yeah, and again, same thing, get this too, right? But Ken, I need to get better before I'm ready for coaching. I already know where I'm losing, lap time now. And yeah, it's a tough one because it's very easy. And again, this goes back to the catchphrase coaching thing. It's very easy to look at what to do. Hey, Colin, I saw you going through turn 2. You really need to pick up your speed through turn 2. It's like, great. How do I do it? So the difference is, it's easy to look at the what to do, but the how to do it, that's where a professional comes into play. So I wanted to bring that point out there. Okay. So this slide's going to be a little bit brutal, and we're going to spend a little bit of time here. And this is essentially the 5 rules that I use when working with an athlete, specifically some of the professionals. But if you look at the people that are in my circle and the instructors that I help train, this is really where it's all about. So I think it's good to ask these questions to yourself. And if you can ask these questions to yourself, it really will separate if you are ready to actually receive coaching. So the first one is, I'm not their friend, right? I'm not there to be my athlete's friend. I'm there to provide a professional, objective pathway for them to succeed. My only goal is not to go, out and have a beer with them later. My goal is to get them around the racetrack as fast as humanly as possible. And if that is my singular goal, that is my singular task, it actually really makes the conversation very simple, because then you can say, look, I'm just here to make you faster. That's all I'm here. I'm going to be very friendly to you, but realize that I'm not here to pal around with you. I'm here professionally to get you around the track as quickly as possible. And that one, again, that one is a little bit brutal, but it's one that will actually end up saving you a lot of hassle. So the next one is having humility. And I think we can always look at that there's somebody's typically faster than you, and very, very, very few times are anybody, even if you're, obviously a world champion, that there's always, you got a target on your back and you're going to have to step the game up. So do you have humility to understand that there's a better way, that there's an alternate way, or there's a way to improve? I think that's something that you have to look at. And I think it's super important to make sure that you have the humility that there is a better way, and you want to be open to that. So this is one also that's very difficult. And I know how fragile all of our egos are, and this one can be difficult, but are they ready? Are you ready to receive feedback? And that's something, even in my coaching days, when I'm working with a new client, one of the ways I'll start off the day with is like, I just want to make sure you understand you're going to receive some feedback. It's not personal. My job is to improve what you're doing. And I'll start off with that, because a lot of times people aren't ready to receive feedback and they'll take it personally. I've had, I won't name the name, but I had a rider that's in the actual World Championship Series now. He was sent to me to work with, and we did a couple sessions together. He got filmed, and when it came time to review his film, he got up and left, went to the airport, never saw him again. So there's times where people aren't necessarily in the right place to receive feedback. And realize that when you're in a situation like this, it's not personal. It's just to get you around the track as quick and as safe as possible. So another one, you've got to put your reps in. And so like Norm, I think it's awesome that you're going to go to Buttonwillow and go work on something. I just think that's great. When I started trying to develop my language, my methodology and language years ago, and I was trying to figure out break graphs, and Colin, for your world, I mean, there was there was data then, but only like at the very high limits. We couldn't get data then. And I'm trying to figure out when somebody would tell me, oh, you got to brake really hard and really short, or somebody would say, oh, you're just trying to barely use the brakes. I was trying to figure all that out. And that literally took 2 years to figure that out. Mm-hmm. So it literally took me 2 years of, riding at lunchtime during the schools, at the end of the day at the schools, and trying different things because I didn't know. And so it took years and years and years, try something, go in, write my notes, go out, back out the next day, write my notes, and try to figure out what all this stuff meant. And bottom line is, you have to put your reps in. So here, I'll pick on Colin right now. So like, Colin, how old are you?
I'm 20 right now.
You're 20. Okay,
Yep.
You're 20. So everybody on this call is like, dude, he's 20 years old, right? He's racing in this professional championships. And you're like, he's just, wow, that's crazy. How long have you been on track? So how long have you been in a motor vehicle on track?
15 years.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just a little bit of everybody to realize that even though Colin's 20, he's been on track for 15 years. So just hold that into perspective a little bit of, how many reps that he's put in. Mm-hmm. So again, it's important that when you go to put your reps in, that you realize that you need to do it, right? You got to put that time in. So,
and just adding on there too, I mean, we're super lucky now with all the information that's out there. especially going from onboards of, some of the best in the world to having access to data at pretty much every level. Even your phone, if you use that as a little GPS sensor in the car, can be a huge, huge help for even just track days and self-analysis later on. I started doing data stuff when I was 13, just getting out of karting, starting to get into cars a little bit here and there at 14. And I mean, that was a huge tool for helping me, progress even more rapidly up into, to faster categories, being able to understand exactly what I was doing so I could repeat it at the next level too.
Yeah. So just again, and just putting that in perspective a little bit is like Colin, what's your home track?
Sonoma Raceway for sure.
Okay, go to Sonoma. So like, you go to Sonoma and you're like, awesome. And Colin, Sonoma was my home raceway for 15 years. So I get
Awesome.
it. So you go to Sonoma with Colin, you're like, well, why is he so fast there? And how come I didn't see that line in the pavement. It's like you realize he's got 60,000 laps around Sonoma is why. So again, you just got to be able to put your reps in. So the last one is we need to emulate what the best in the world are doing. And the reason that we want to emulate what the best in the world are doing is pretty simple. If there was a better way, they would do it. It starts with that. So that's one thing. So if the best in the world are trail braking, then we should be trail braking. If the best in the world are doing X, Y, and Z, that's what we want to be doing. The other part about that is what the best in the world are doing is dynamic. It's constantly evolving and changing. So as we continue to study what the best in the world are doing, we realize that there might be some slight tweaks in that. And we're like, oh, okay, what's he doing? Wow, I didn't see that, or I didn't realize that. Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna look into that a little bit more. So that's why we want to look at the sharpest point, because we can always scale that point down. It's very difficult if you're starting with 1971 ideology and trying to scale up for that. It makes it very, very difficult. So instead, we'll look at what the best in the world are doing, and we can always bring that down. And this is what we say, it's the same technique, just a different degree of application. So those are the 5 things that I talk about when I'm working with somebody. And it's the same things that I'll ask myself as well, if I'm ready for that. So when working with a coach, how to get the most out of your coach. And this is something that I talk with coaches about. So don't think this is just a student side of it. It's the same thing with the coach. It's a two-way conversation, meaning that we can't read your mind. We can't, we're not necessarily, sometimes we're there just for the day with you, or maybe we're simply just looking at your video. So we need as much information as we can, and we don't want it to be a one-sided understanding. We want, or one-side conversation. We want it to be a two-way conversation, and we want it to be a two-way conversation because the more information we have, the better. So a clear understanding of your long-term and short-term goals. We want to make sure that we have your goals in mind to be able to work backwards for them. A great example of that is with some people, I'll ask them what their long-term goals are, and someone might say, well, in 4 years, I want to be an instructor. Okay, awesome. And then what's your short-term goals? Well, my short-term goals is, I'm racing this year. Okay, great. Well, I may change how I spend time with them or describe things to them based on them potentially being somebody that's going to teach. Whether if it's somebody that's like, I'm only concerned about my lap time, I'm only concerned about racing, I want to be as fast as possible this weekend. Okay, great. Then we're going to change some of the things that we're going to talk about based on that. So we need to understand what your long-term and short-term goals are so we can mold that conversation to you. And same thing with how do you like to communicate? There's some people that are very visual learners. There's some people that, for instance, really like data. They really connect with data. And there's also kinesthetic learners, right? So everybody's a little bit different. And we want to make sure that we understand if I, like, for instance, with Norm, I may, Norm, Norm's going to go out and work on some braking here in the next week. But Norm, that may not, me describing it to him may not be enough. Maybe he needs to see it on a data graph. Great, we can give you a data graph and draw that out for you. Or no, kinesthetically, great, we can give you some drills, literally driving down the street to get this going for you. So understanding how you are interpreting and intaking this information is huge for us. So this goes, yeah, ask your coach questions, please. We want to have questions. We want to be able to understand your situation, because again, this is a very consequence-bearing sport, and we want to make sure that we're getting all the information from you as well. And then I did put one thing in here at the end, which is consistency is the key to progress. And I put this in there because consistent coaching is huge, as well as you consistently doing these things is huge. It's what's the joke, right? You can do, you can do 300 push-ups in one day, or you can do, 30 push-ups for 10 days, or you can do 10 push-ups for 30 days, and which one's going to benefit you more. So it's sort of the same thing here. So consistency is definitely a huge part of this. All right. So we have some things in there that we're going to talk about on the Blayze thing, but before we get it, so there's a bunch of things here on the Blayze thing on the Blayze platform that we'll talk about. But I want to pause here and kind of open this up, and even for Colin, or I've got Mark Price on here as well. Mark's also another one of my master instructors. And if Colin or Mark, you guys want to chime in a little bit, or let's take some questions here on just the general either coaching relationship, or how we can get a little bit more out of our coach, because we have some things that are kind of keyed into the Blayze platform, but I want to pause here and talk about coaching relationships.
Yeah, at least for me, and I'll just chime in here real quick. It's definitely been super helpful when people are able to communicate their goals are huge for me, as far as hearing what they want to achieve out of their coaching, because that helps guide us in a direction where we can give you the information that you want to achieve those goals. If we're kind of left guessing, or just thinking about, okay, what do we think you want to work on, or obviously everyone wants to get faster, but if there's a certain time or place, if you're working on racecraft, if you want the questions there, if you want to get better at a specific track, or if you want more general knowledge to take everywhere you go, lots of those things are helpful for us and just help us guide into a direction. That's why I love working with recurring people on the Blayze Plus side. Doing one lap analyses here and there are great, but it's super, super helpful to see that improvement and progress over time, and then also help guide you guys in the direction that you want to.
Yeah, and I'd love to echo what Colin said, and it goes with number 4 about consistency. And this is one of the things that I think is super valuable about the Blayze platform is consistency with a coach, right? Or at least a methodology, is super important to progress and to understanding, so that you can build on that knowledge over time.
Yeah, and I think that's one nice thing about, like, again, working with Colin or Mark or Dion, is and we've talked about this a lot on these calls, is there isn't a lot of consensus of what's right or wrong in this sport. And what we're trying to do is bring that consensus here. And when you realize that we've got some people, we got some coaches on this platform that are very, very good, and they are very consistent about, how they're driving or riding and what they do. And it actually makes everyone's job a lot easier when we're all literally talking the same language. And so it's super important. And that's one of the things with Dion, when I got involved with Dion, I think 4 years ago, whatever it is.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Geez, there he is. Hey, Dion, how are you?
What's up, everyone?
But I mean, that's sort of I wanted to make sure that he saw things the way that I did. And it's funny, because even though I've been doing motorcycles for a long time, and I'd been doing some car stuff, Dion had no idea about the motorcycle side, but realized how similar these two sports really, really are. And that was one of the nice things. And once we were able to get together on that, that's why, I mean, honestly, that's why I'm here. And that's why I have a lot of my people here, because we want to be able to grow this, and we want to be able to, again, have consensus of what's going on. So Dion, we kind of went through the beginning. We talked about, the relationship between, what a coach does, relationship, whether you're ready for coaching, the relationship between the two. And we're about ready to get into some of the Blayze stuff. And before you jump into that, and I mentioned at the beginning of this call is, I think, so I would love to work with everybody, right? I would love to go to everybody's track and work with them all the time. That'd be a dream. But also you got to realize that you got to pay me money to do that. And you got to pay, a couple $1,000s a day to do that. So that would be great, but you're literally getting the same information by sending in a video. And having seen the very beginnings, I got involved with this very early with Dion, seeing where it's gone from there to now and where it's going to grow is honestly a lot based on the people that are on here. How, what the things that you want, what makes sense for you. And that's kind of where the direction is going. So Dion, I don't know if you want to jump in. I can move some of these slides around.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of jump in, and like anytime I can hang out with some racing people, I'm always about that. I would just, echo that, I just want to say thank you for everyone that's on here. For me, the coolest, I get up every morning energized because of all of you, because you all share the vision, the camaraderie. We all are very like-minded people. I think it's unique to seek coaching. It's unique to seek excellence, and each and every one of you do that. And I just want you to know that our coaches are here, and I speak for myself, I speak for Ken, I speak for Colin, I speak for Ricky Taylor, I speak for whoever coaches with us. We're here because we freaking love to do it, and we love working with you. And we want
it's
you.
It's not for the money. Wait,
no.
What?
No, trust me, Ricky Taylor's doing just fine without coaching money, right? We do it because we love it, and I think it's important. I know for me, like if I were to put myself in your shoes, which you're getting coaching here is like how I just got back from playing tennis. And like, that's like my amateur, my shitty self as myself as a tennis player. And I know I don't want to bother the coach, and like, man, I'm so bad, almost embarrassed sometimes. So I can relate to that. But at the same time, I know from the coach standpoint, we're here because we freaking love talking race and we love helping people. We created this because I didn't have access to learn from the best, and what does that even look like? So I want to encourage you all to reach out to your coaches, talk with them, ask questions. It's not an imposition, right? Like, yes, you're paying money, so you should also feel like you should have the ability to do that. But we also want you to know that we're here because we genuinely like being here as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough of a ramble.
Yeah. So I think, all of us, we're super blessed to be, riding motorcycles and driving cars, and some of us get paid to do them. It's pretty cool. And really I get to work with some pretty amazing people in outside industries that all they want to do is be on track. That's their only thoughts. They do cool stuff. Trust me, really cool stuff. And they're like, how do I get on track? So I think a lot of it is being able to share that. And you just have that one day of driving or riding, and you're just like, okay, that exit is, I just want to duplicate that exit the rest of my life, but realize that I want other people to be able to do that. And it's something that, I strive to be able to share with everyone.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So Dion, here I'm just kind of getting into the questions.
Yeah. Do you want me to kind of run through them with you?
Yep. That'd be great.
Awesome. So, I put some questions here at the end of like just kind of common questions. We have some people that may be less familiar with Blayze, and one of the most common questions is from track day warriors to race weekend drivers, like, what's the format to get the most out of coaching? Let me just kind of start by saying there's obviously like the elephant in the room here is everything has a cost, right? And I'm very cognizant of that. So what I wrote here was sort of the ultimate best option. And then we can kind of walk backwards from there. So if you're doing race weekends, this is kind of a little bit more targeted race weekends. I think the ultimate best here is going into the race weekend. If you've already had a coaching session from that track, go back to review the most recent coaching session. That with your notes, with any one of our track guides or Blayze Plus calls, so that you've got an action plan for as you head in back to that race weekend. Always comes down to the focus. What are we going to work on? What's the 1 or 2 things that I'm focused on? If you don't have that coaching session from that racetrack and you've driven there before, I don't care if it was 5 years ago. Send me that video. Let's get you something ahead of that race weekend. Don't wait for after it. Let's get ahead of it, because my goal as a coach is for you to be able to have that action plan going into race weekend. So for me, that's the most important one. I think the 2 most powerful options that we offer, and I know I do this with Ben, with Ken, Norm as well, just kind of calling out some of the drivers that I work with. Same day turnaround coaching sessions are very powerful. I'm the first one to say there's a little bit of funkiness with our platform here with same day sessions that we're hopefully gonna get to, but it's like you can't necessarily select a coach. You just got to let your coach ask your coach if they're available for that weekend, and then just email me. I'm gonna put my email in the chat so that everybody has it, and I can manually assign a coach for you. It's just the only session where you can't manually request a coach. That way, if your coach isn't ready or not available, obviously there's that quick turnaround time needed. But Friday night after your practice sessions, upload your quick video. Try to trim it down to a short video because Wi-Fi sucks at racetracks. We're all in the middle of nowhere, right? And upload speeds can be a little bit low. But getting a coach session back in weekend is really powerful. So those are like 2 major things.
Yeah, the app is really good for this too. I think the app has been like, I've had, clients say, hey, Ken, I've got qualifying at 11 a.m., but I got to practice at 9, can I, jump on a chat with you at 9:30 and come up with my plan for Q? And if I'm available, yeah, absolutely. The app is great for this.
And you use chat messaging specifically on the app, right?
Yep.
For that. Okay. Just to clarify, if someone hasn't downloaded, we do have an iOS mobile app as well. It is iOS only right now. It is still somewhat a beta app, but it's fully functional for the most part. In fact, at the end of this week, you'll be able to start looking at all of our blog articles, replays of these all from your app as well. So definitely download that. It's a much better experience, easier to chat with your coach. Finally, for those of you that are racing, wheel dual racing, the most powerful version of what we do, service of what we do, is our race analysis, where we watch every single lap of your race. We're going to talk about speed. We're going to talk about race starts. We're going to I'll talk about warming up your tires and strategy, during the caution laps. That's a really powerful service. Obviously, it's our most expensive service because there's a lot of video for us to watch. So the ultimate is sort of coaching session beforehand, coaching session during, coaching session after. If you had to say, okay, well, how do I pare that back? I don't want to do that many coaching sessions. Then for me, it's having that session beforehand, chat message a little bit in, race analysis after. And then for obviously for anyone that's doing more track days or time trials, the race analysis is not as helpful for you at that point. And then it's more of the data and video analysis before and after or during as well. So that's sort of the format that I would recommend. Just for Ken, I know that I really want an Android version as well. It's a money thing. We have just kind of, I like to be very, we have 3 engineers. One of them is an iOS engineer, and it's like as much as we can afford. So if we can grow this thing, I can promise you an Android app. So tell your friends about Blayze.
Yeah. And then again, some of the other things that we can look at, this is a big one that I do with a lot of clients, is before a race weekend, I may literally just jump on and it uses up one of their sessions, but still it's not expensive just to jump on and go, okay, hey, you're going to Big Willow this weekend. I'm going to give you a reference for the every entry and a reference for every exit, as an example. Or maybe somebody's already been there before and we'll say, hey, based on your video, we're going to work on X, Y, and Z. And I'll literally do a zoom on a track map and send it to them. And that gives them their plan for the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of highlighting this as well. Notice that you don't always have to send in a video. For sure, like your video, sending through that, by far the most powerful thing. This is a track map that I actually just made, so I don't want to screen grab this. This is kind of like my little secret notes to how I look at this. I ask Ken, you've done this. Norm, you've done this, right? I get everyone to do it. It looks really simple. Ken, do you want to unmute yourself and just kind of like give your experience with this little exercise? I'm calling on you here.
Yeah, I don't. I know
You
we
know-
went through and talked about slow points, throttle pickup. I remember doing this, but it's been a couple of months, so
For sure. Do
Just-
you remember if you
Nick-
found it
Nick-
helpful?
Yeah, Nick is on here as well. And Nick, I've done a bunch of these with Nick.
Oh, awesome. Nick, do you want to, like, if you can, unmute yourself? We'd love to just get your perspective on this.
Yeah, hi guys.
What's up?
Not much, but yeah, I mean this stuff's worked great. It's we've done it on video and with Google Maps, and I mean it really helps being up there and knowing what's coming up, knowing what you're gonna do when. That takes a lot of stuff out of your head and just kind of makes it more automatic. I mean, I've dropped seconds, multiple seconds, very easily just from that.
Love it. I mean, I think what our job, and I think you probably covered this, is to simplify things for you guys, right? So that little track map exercise, honestly, what I have my drivers do is if they want to hop on or use a 1-lap analysis and have me kind of talk through it, and I'll pull up Google Maps or an onboard, we can do that. Or I just say, hey, get a track map, put it open in PDF, just annotate it or get printed out and just like, and then send me an image of what you think every corner is an exit speed corner, entry speed corner, balance speed corner. Where's the minimum speed? I've yet to see the perfect track map yet. I think it's been surprising, and it might show you which corner you might be thinking slightly wrong. And that's also helps me as a coach just to tailor my coach a little bit more.
So Dion, what if I don't have a video of the track I'm going to? What if I don't
Love
know
it.
It's like, yeah, it's like, what do I, if I can watch videos, but I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. So look, I think there's a couple things we could do here. So obviously almost everyone here is a Blayze Plus member, and you guys should have access to all of our content. I know that there's been a little bit of bugs there. We finally should have that resolved. So we've got track guides that we've made. We've got track write-ups that we've made. We've got what I call curated onboard videos where I'm like, hey, here are the videos that I recommend studying. So that's a great resource for you. That's totally included, no extra cost. You go to our, in fact, let me just, do you guys mind if I share my screen and I can just kind of make sure everyone knows? Okay. Oh, can you give me the ability to do that, Ken? If you know how to.
If I know how to do
you
it.
click on me and then the little 3 dots. It should be like, you can make me a co-host or something like that. I can share it. So I'll show you guys where all this is located, make it easy. We're about to release all of our own track maps, redesign this a bit. So one thing to know about our track guides is they're a little bit more generalized, right? I don't know what car you're driving, the conditions you're going to. So one exercise that I've done with a few drivers that have been surprisingly helpful. I did one where they were going to Sonoma and it was supposed to be raining. And they found a YouTube video of someone driving Sonoma in the wet. And it wasn't them driving, but it was me talking about Sonoma in the wet, racing lines, how to approach everything. And that was really helpful. Another one came from Steve, who I don't know if is on here tonight or not, but Steve, we had done a few coaching sessions at Club Motorsport, and he was studying one of Mike Skeen's videos from Club Motorsports. So he actually sent me Mike's video to sort of walk through, what do I look for in Mike's video? What's he doing well? What could he improve? How do I analyze that? And he said it was really, really helpful. So if you don't have a video from the racetrack you're going to, I think it's a great tool to work with your coach. If you find a YouTube video that you go study, you can leave it at that. Or you can kind of take it to the next level where kind of how we analyze things. Thanks, Ken. I just saw that. So I'll just really quick here. So if you're on the app, whoops, and I can't see this. So when you're logged into the app, you'll be able to just click articles.
I think, sorry, real quick. I think, Ken, you might have to stop sharing your screen. It might pop up for Dion's if you switch there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I see my
There we
screen.
go.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Perfect.
Thanks, Colin. What's up, man?
Good. How are
Awesome.
you, Dion?
All good. So if you click articles, you come to this screen. We've got our sports selector here at the top. And then essentially what we want to do here is go to guides. It's a little bit slow on my end. And then these are all of the track guides that we've got. So if you click view all, we've got all of these track guides. I'm just going to, pick one at random. NOLA. We've got a little 15-minute guide. You can come here and look, go back to blog, go to car racing. So you can also use the search box. So if you just want to type in, let's say you're looking for Laguna, it's going to type in Laguna. You got all of our kind of Laguna Seca stuff. So that's a great resource for you. Also, if you're looking for the kind of, if I can get this thing to do it, recordings of all these calls, and this is, I'll make this easy for you guys. Click lessons and then Blayze Plus calls. You've got all of the recordings to these as well. So use this resource center. If you want to learn more about a topic, trail braking, learning a racetrack, reference points, ask your coach, and your coach will be able to send you articles that could be helpful. Anyway, that's a lot of words that I just said and took this over, but hopefully it all makes sense.
And that's, well, the thing that I get jacked up about this is that, again, I would love to be with everybody, but our industry has lacked a low cost alternative to be able to get into this where they can trust the information where it's coming from. And that's one of the beauties of this is, yeah, you can buy Blayze Plus for whatever it is, $1 a day or whatever the heck it is. Is that what it is? $1 a day?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, just these calls are worth it.
Totally.
I feel so, going through all the calls that we did last year. I mean, Colin and I had some freaking outstanding calls, and we've got a whole list of outstanding calls for this coming year. So, just that in itself is worth it. Plus you get video sessions.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'll leave that one. Ken, you can kind of take back over here. I'll stop hijacking the call.
Oh yeah, all good. All right. So let me go back to here. Yeah, I mean, we're basically almost done. I mean, there's only a couple slides left, but yeah, it's just, some of the things that we can do, Dion put in here, analyzing, other videos, which is cool.
Oh, sim racing, by the way. Sorry, let me call that out. If anybody uses a sim, it's great tool. Very easy to form bad habits on the sim because there's certain physics. There's certain anomalies of the track that are different. So if you do want to, if you're on the sim, I do recommend occasionally sending in footage from the sim. If you're using iRacing makes it annoyingly hard to export your video. This is going to sound dumb, but I promise it's all we need is you go drive a lap or a few laps, and then you'll have that like replay screen where it's showing you your lap. Change the view to where it looks like we're driving, and then literally just pull up your phone and record the computer screen from your phone and send that in. It's easy as that, and it can be really powerful. I was actually doing one yesterday for a driver going to Sebring this week for the first time. And just, for example, they were driving a Miata and they weren't braking into turn one because on the sim, you didn't need to brake into turn one. And it's like, no. In real life, that's a brake zone. you're not braking to turn one. That's at the corner. So that's a really kind of a dumb, it's usually more detailed than that, but a small example.
Yeah, Gary, to answer your question, this is going to be, this is recorded and will be on, this video will be on the Blayze site.
We'll send out links too.
Yeah. So another thing here is realizing that there's more to it. Like the whole coaching athlete relationship there's more to it, right? We've talked about, right? There's 3 elements of an athlete, right? There's your technique, but there's also the physical part and the mental part. And we have a lot of experience with that. Just to give you an example on my side, last Thursday, I did my annual athlete evaluation in Park City, Utah. I'm very blessed that I have a relationship with Max Testa. Max Testa is a multi-time Tour de France winning coach. He's Italian. He's done testing with Ferrari Formula One. He understands motorsports. We actually developed a protocol for athlete testing. So with a proper notice, we actually have 9 stations that you go through that take you through athlete evaluation. And they're everything from whatever metabolic testing, lactate, VO2, concussion protocol, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, we've developed it through motorsports. So we know what works and why, just to give you an idea of the things that we can help you with. Same thing on mental training. We have a whole bunch of wonderful people that have helped us on the mental training side. So yeah, we want to be your coach. We want to be your entire program. And again, it's a great place to have that happen. So, all right. And then, yeah, Blayze will be releasing the ability to hop on 15, 30, or 60-minute live calls with your coach this year. I did that a lot this year, actually. I had, besides the regular membership, I know Dion built a special little thing for me where—
beta testing.
Yeah, beta testing. There you go. where I was doing quite a few extra Zoom sessions, like one-on-one Zoom sessions with a lot of my clients. And yeah, it costs money, but I mean, and Nick is a great example of that, who's on the call, where we could spend, you're spending less than 10% of what you would cost, for me for a whole day. But we're doing it on an hour or 30 or whatever minute Zoom call. Those are, I think, insanely valuable to help get you through or either pre or post event. I think they're pretty huge.
Yeah, you could talk about certain things that are tough to talk about through a video analysis coaching session, right? Like weekend plans and how you felt, and there's this extra context that I think you can get from that. So hopefully that'll be coming out. We're working on it. We don't want to just throw it together haphazardly. We want to get it right. So if you're interested in doing that with a coach in the meantime, just email me. I can we've got a little bit of a workaround, but it'll be built into the platform coming soon here as well.
Yeah. And just real quick on that, I've actually used it quite a bit for setup. So we've got a lot of people that it's harder to get setup information going back and forth, where you can do it on a live call, and it makes it so much easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nice.
Great. I don't have anything else, Dion. I mean, we went through the whole thing, and I think that my last little thing that I want to talk about is as coaches, I mean, we're just essentially, we're just normal goofballs, right? We just do this too. And so, I mean, we just have put a lot more reps in than, maybe everybody else. So we have more faith in you than you do. And you can do this. If you put in the time and you put in, if you're disciplined, I swear to you, you can do this. You can go anywhere you want if you put the time in. That's the main thing. If you're consistent about it, man, again, look at Colin, right? Like, oh my God, Colin's so young and fast. He just jumped in a car 6 months ago. And it's like, no, he's been doing it for 15 years. And same thing. Dion, how old are you, Dion?
I am turning 33 this year. I'm getting old, man.
Jeez, yeah, come talk to me when you're 60. But how long have you been driving?
Gosh, I started technically late. This will be my 20th year driving. So I started when I was 13.
Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, there you go. Right?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
20 years.
More than half my life. Way more than half my life.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So the bottom line is, a lot of this comes down to they've got time in that zone, right? They've put their reps in, and for our job is to keep you understanding what those reps are and keeping you doing them. So again, I truly believe that anybody can do this. They just have to put the time and have the desire to do it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to kind of relate this to is I think every sport has some skills involved. Certain sports are going to be more talent-based or physical-based, and some are more skill-based. So like a great example of this is basketball is more of a raw athleticism sport. Absolutely, there's skill involved. I'm not saying there's not. But then you have other spectrums of sports where they're highly skill-based. Maybe golf would be an example of this, for example. Racing's much more of a skill-based sport. And the great thing about that is it's absolutely learnable. Anyone can learn to drive fast. Yes, maybe not Lewis Hamilton level fast, but everyone can learn to drive fast. It's just, I always say my little equation is repetitions plus coaching or an outside non-biased feedback plus focus for every rep. Well, you can't help but improve and go faster.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, Kirk, if you don't want to tell your buddies about Blayze, I get it. That being said, we are your secret sauce, but there's a little present icon on the profile and on the mobile app. And if you share that link with your friends, you're going to get $100 off your next coaching session if they use it. So we kind of incentivize everyone. Everyone can refer a friend. It's just a copy paste link. You'll get $100 off. They get $100 off their coaching session. And you're going to improve yourself by helping improve your competition, because the better your competition gets, the more you got to push yourself, and the more fun it's going to be when you kick their ass. Because I guarantee you one thing, you're already here, which means you're already working harder than them, and you will continue to work harder than them. So you'll continue to kick their ass. Yeah, totally, Kirk. I know. Thank you, man. Exactly, man. More competition equals more fun. Absolutely. Since we're kind of at least done on our end, any like, hopefully this was helpful and not boring. Any questions that we can, the three of us can help with? And I can always, if you ask me a really tough question, I can call out Colin and make him answer it.
I have two.
Cool. Let's hear them.
First one is regarding the guides. So motorcycles to cars, I've just looked over them. So some of the tracks that I would personally go to, like CMP, for example, you have it in cars, but not in motorcycles. How well would that translate to bikes?
So Ken, I'm going to throw that one over to you because I
Yeah,
can't do bikes.
actually, I don't know who the guide is from, but it's honestly,
Dion.
Nick, it's really, really close. I
Okay.
mean,
That was
you know,
me.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, if Dion or Colin did it, I can guarantee it's 99.9% there. I mean, so I have no issue with that. And that, again, that's part of what's nice about this platform is, again, we're all speaking the same language. So if it's a car guide, I mean, a turning point's a turning point. An apex is an apex. So I would say it's either spot on or extremely close.
Quick question for you, Nick. This is me trying to learn more about the motorcycle kind of things live in front of everybody. We have, a bunch of track guides on the car race side because we're doing it longer. Ken's going to eventually make them on the bike side when he finds time. Would it be helpful if we just had like a 30-second spiel from Ken just saying, look, we know that this is a race car, but 99% of it's the same. This one I've approved. Would that be helpful to you just to have the confidence that we've at least checked it?
Happy to do that.
Cool.
I mean, sure, but even if you just wrote it in there without the spiel, it would be fine too, I think.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. You had a second question too?
Yeah, so that was the second question is regarding a simulator. So I have a motor trainer, which I bought a while ago. I haven't set up yet. But that requires a full, like, for me to dedicate a bike to it, basically. It works off of, I mean, you can play like a MotoGP Xbox game or whatever, but it works off of onboard video, and you can lean the bike, etc., and you're using your own bike. So is that, does that apply to what you said about simulators or no?
So the difference between a bike and the car is with a motorcycle is that you're using your mass to help move the motorcycle and turn it. And without the gyroscopic effect, it can make it difficult. You can put yourself into a false sense of security because you're not getting the actual gyroscopic feedback. But as far as braking and reference points and motor controls, it's fantastic. So I think it's really good for that. It's just, you're not going to have the feel references that you normally would have when you're actually riding, which same on a car sim too.
When you say gyroscopic, you mean the leaning or you mean the G-forces?
Yes, meaning
Okay.
that, meaning that, when you've got that gyroscopic effect, you get to feel those G's, you get to feel the force into the bike, and it actually helps you turn the bike. So like your body movement on the sim is going to have more effect on the bike than it would actually on the road. So that you got to be a little bit careful with that, but the rest of it can be very much transferable.
Understood. Okay.
Man, you just made car racing sims sound so lame. Like you get to like that just sounded so much cooler.
Well, I mean, think about if you had a car and you could drive the car and every corner you could take, 200 pounds of force and move it to the right spot. Wouldn't that be bitching?
Oh
right?
my gosh, yes.
I know. So it would be like cheating. So
Absolutely.
bikes, you can just move your mass however you want to move them. And that's what
it's kind of like what Williams Racing was doing back when they had the like active suspension program in was that the early 90s, I want to say, or something like that. Oh man, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions at all that we can kind of go through? Don't be shy if you've got anything at all. That's kind of been the main theme of tonight, is to ask away if you've got them. None. Awesome. One thing as well is, I know I've reached out to a lot of my drivers. Ben, we still need to connect, is just forming a plan for the year. Make sure that you work with your coach to talk about, I think we've already talked about this, what your goals are for the year, what your schedule is for the year. Just, reach out to your coach. We'll make sure our coaches are also reaching out and being proactive. I just want, if there's one takeaway from tonight, I want you guys to know that we're here, that we want to be of help in any way we can. So just reach out to us. And then you also, everyone here has my personal email address. Don't hesitate to blow me up on there. If you've got feedback on the platform as well, I know Kirk, you don't need to be shy with me. You can come tell me what sucks, what's great. That feedback is a gift for me, because that we can make this better and better and improve your experience. So always like to hear that and how we can continue to improve things for every one of you. And just appreciate you all. And thanks for joining in tonight. And hopefully it's been fun and helpful. Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Great. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
See ya.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.